right. Hello, everybody, and thank you guys for joining us for another Workshop Wednesday. My name is Victor Verba, and I'm a systems engineer over here at Variphy, and today I'm going to be your host for today's workshop. Today we are joined by my good friend, Mr. Phil Corbin, our very own Director of Marketing. Phil, how's it going today?
Going well. Glad to be here, Vic.
Excellent. Thank you for joining us. So for today's webinar, we're going to talk a little bit about what's coming out in our latest Variphy EFT 13. We'll go ahead and give just kind of a brief high-level overview of some of the larger features we have coming out. And then Phil's going to take us through how you can use Planet Verify to sign up for that EFT 13 release, receive updates, as well as post your experiences. We're going to go ahead and start off with just a quick overview of our company and what we do. We'll then talk a little bit about the new features expected in EFT 13, and then Phil's going to walk us through using Planet to show you how to register to take part of the EFT release. We'll then pause for some Q&A, get some questions answered. During this demonstration, if you guys have any questions, make sure you ask them in the Q&A panel in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And then after Q&A, as always, we're going to reward one lucky attendee a $50 Amazon gift card, so make sure you hang around to see what you have won. Now, just a quick overview of Variphy. We are the preferred analytics and management solution for Cisco collaboration. We have industry-leading CDR, UCCX, and Cube analytics, customizable dashboards, widgets, remote phone control, as well as change management. But today, we're going to focus in on how you guys can take part in our upcoming EFT 13 release. And again, if you have any questions, make sure you're using that chat panel in the bottom right-hand corner. Also, for any of you guys looking for a very hands-off experience using Variphy, Variphy does offer a consulting service. This is a service that provides a dedicated system engineer, and we do all the heavy lifting, giving you and your users a completely hands-off experience. We are essentially an extension of your organization. Upgrades, one-on-one training, reporting, dashboard building. Your engineer would have you covered. Your SE is engaged with your team on a one-on-one basis to provide any type of additional consulting, unassisted reporting, dashboarding, configuration, and system monitoring assistance. So really the only thing you have to do is just call us and let us know what you want. If you guys have any additional questions on our ECS service, feel free to reach out to your account manager. We'll be happy to go ahead and speak with you and see if our consulting service is a right fit for your organization. So with all that said, and before I kick it over to my good friend, Mr. Phil Corbin there, let's talk a little bit about some of the new features coming out in EFT 13. First thing we have here is I'm going to go ahead and talk a little bit about our Cube event reporting, UCCX audible alerts, database archiving, report queuing, maximum widgets, and as well as alert reporting. So let's go ahead and just take a quick jump right into some of those features here. So first thing first, we're going to go ahead and talk a little bit about is our Cube Analytics and event reporting. So if you're familiar with our Cube Analytics, that's going to give you the visibility to be able to report any of your Cube events. In versions prior to 13, we sequence all of the events together for you, which is a great way to be able to see all of the events that are taking place per your search. In this quick example here, I'm looking at sequences, and I'm searching for anything that got a network out of order. First thing you're going to notice is you are seeing the entire sequence of events. So there's my network out of order event, and I also receive a temporary failure event. My peer ID is 100, temporary failure, peer ID is 200. So with EFT 13, we're also going to give you the ability to not only see those sequences, but also report those individual events. So let me go ahead and give you just a very quick sample of what something like that looks like. So if I'm reporting sequences, I'm reporting the entire sequence of events. So if I export a brief report here using sequences, grouping off my peer IDs, the first thing you're going to go ahead and see is it's going to show every peer ID that was involved in the sequence of events. So taking just a quick look, you can see I have peer IDs 100, 101, 200, 300, and 800. Now, all of these are part of the entire sequence of events, but there are going to be times where I want to see just the individual event that only pertains to the problem or the query that I'm asking for. In other words, you can see I've got 1,006 calls associated to this peer ID 200. Now, that doesn't mean that's necessarily where that event took place. And if you'll notice here, I'm looking at my peer ID 100, and this is actually where the network out of order is taking place. So what I can do is just quickly switch that guy over to events, run that report. Now what you're going to see is my count for my total number of events go down a little bit, because I'm no longer counting the entire sequence of events. I'm really just counting the individual event and showing you the appear ID where that error message took place. So it's a great way to be able to filter out some of your dashboards and some of your widgets to be able to show more precise information just on the particular event that may have taken place. All right. So next thing we're going to go ahead and pop over and take a quick look at is our CSQ and UCCX analytics, specifically around dashboarding. One of the other big things that we're looking forward to, and we have a lot of customers ask us about, is the ability to get some audible alerting into our CCX dashboards and widgets. So you asked, we responded. So what you're going to see here is if I edit this widget, new to EFT 13, when you pop down to your thresholds, you can now go ahead and set some audible alerts. You could set the delays, how often those repeat. So great addition for anybody running our UCCX analytics. And if you're not running our UCCX analytics and you want to take it for a spin, we've got a lot of customers that can very easily displace the CUIC platform just due to ease of use and some of the security, but also with the addition of being able to give some audible alerts to be able to draw attention to particular problems. All right. So one of the next things we're going to go ahead and talk about, and this is a pretty large feature, is going to be our database archiving. So prior to 13, if you had let's say you had compliance perspective and you needed to store 7 years worth of data. All reportable. Maybe that was for compliance. Maybe it's just something that you guys feel you may have to go back to at any given time. Previously, that would be in one large database. So let's say, hypothetically speaking, you had 50 million call records in there over a period of 2 years or 3 years. Well, when you're running reports, you're querying 50 million call records every single time to pull out the data that you're looking for. Now, even if that data is on a regular basis, you're only querying maybe the current week, current month, previous month, maybe a quarter, things like that. But when you were running those reports, you're querying a very large database with 50 million call records in it. So thus comes database archiving. So essentially what we're going to do is we're going to give you the ability to automatically archive those databases. So rather than housing a year, 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, even 6 months worth of data in a single large database, we will automatically allow you to break those databases into smaller chunks. Well, how is that beneficial? So let's give you an example. So let's say, for example, on average, most of my end users query the current month's worth of data, maybe 2 months worth of data. Well, rather than having to query 50 million call records every time, we can run an automatic archive that's going to go ahead and break those databases down into into 1 month increments. So now, rather than having to query 3 years out of data out of a database, we just query 1 month worth of data, making it a much more user-friendly experience, faster reporting. Now, the nice thing about this is this can all be automated in the background, and it is seamless for your end users. Whether they are querying the first month's worth of data, second month's worth of data, or data from 3 years ago, the Variphy system is going to automatically know which database it should be pulling information out of, keeping those databases in smaller chunks, ultimately requiring less data to have to compute. So great addition to our application, and we are looking forward to getting this guy out. It's definitely going to help with some slowness, and also help with some of those customers that, again, for compliance reasons, hey, we need to store 5 years worth of data. We'll probably never report on it, but we need to store it for compliance just in case. This is a great option for you guys, because this is going to allow you to keep those end users, those day-to-day reports running smooth and fast, but seamlessly allow you to query that older archive data should anything come up. All right. A couple other additions that we have here, just some application settings, allowing you to set a report queuing. We've got a lot of customers out there, lots of hands in the cookie jar when people are running reports, scheduling reports and things like that. And people have a tendency to just schedule everything at midnight. So whether you've got 10 reports running at midnight or 200 reports running at midnight, that's still 200 reports running at midnight. So rather than having all of those reports try to kick off at once, really draining a lot of resources on your Variphy server, what we're going to do is we're going to allow you to set some queue limitations. So what's going to happen is those reports will queue up. Maybe I run 10 reports at once, and the other reports will queue and run after one of them finishes. This is a great way to be able to help with some of those resource issues and some of those times where we have a whole lot of reports running at the same time. You don't have to worry about trying to go out and stagger all those reports, 1201, 1202, 1203. Let the system do it for you. So those are just a few of the options that we have, along with some ability to, kind of restrict some of the widgets. We see a lot of people add a ton of widgets to a dashboard and then really never go back to that dashboard again. Maybe they were playing with it. Maybe they were testing something. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and allow some limitations on those dashboards. This will not affect your current system. If you've got 20 widgets running on your dashboard, hey, more power to you. We're not going to go ahead and remove a bunch of those widgets, but going forward, we can set some thresholds so your end users don't continue to add 20 widgets onto those dashboards. So a few different pieces of information there regarding our EFT 13, and a lot of great information and great ways to be able to help with efficiency, as long as some nice new features. So with all of that said, I'm going to go ahead and kick the ball over to Phil, and Phil's going to show you how you can take advantage of EFT 13 and get in on the ground floor.
All right. You guys get all that? That was a lot to cover, Rick.
A lot of information in a short amount of time.
Yeah, right. Yeah, thanks for having me. We've done this a few other times. I hope all of y'all have had a chance to visit our user community, Planet Variphy. If not, please just go to planet.variphy.com and you can log in with your variphy.com credentials. It's easy as that. Your user account is already created. All you have to do is log in. Super excited to announce the launch of the 13.0 EFT program right here on Planet Variphy. We've been taking registrations and showing kind of an introduction to the 13.0 EFT over the last month or so here. The EFT is specifically designed for sharing updates with all of our testers. If you have been part of an EFT before, it's been done via email, etc. Now we're actually hosting it within Planet Variphy. When you join our EFT program, you become part of the Variphy family. You're driving really the future of our product right alongside us. You also, in turn, get to try the latest features, and you get to share your feedback on what you love and what needs a bit of work. So everything Vic just covered, you are going to get early access to and help us drive the future of our product. So we'd really like you to be part of our EFT program. Planet, it makes everything easier as far as collaboration, and that's kind of why we consolidated the EFT program within the community. Just really helps streamline everything. So with that said, hopefully you can see my screen, Vic.
Looking good.
All right. So what you're going to need to do is if you haven't signed in, you're going to need to sign in. I'm going to use Colleen's email for this. It's your password to variphy.com. So if you do not know your password, please reach out to support or reach out directly to your AM and they can get you all set up with your password. So I am going to log in. It's easy as that. I am logged in and here's the homepage of Planet. This is kind of like an activity feed. It kind of surfaces everything going around the community. You can see we're running a poll here. How are you and your users logging into Variphy? Just going to plug that real quick. We want to know how you're logging into Variphy. Are you logging in using your local user accounts? Are you using LDAP or using the SSO with SIM authentication? If you get a chance, we'd love to get your feedback on that. You get also other things within all the other different product forums as well as some of the fun stuff. We have the cantina where we like to list our favorite drinks, etc. So I'm logged in. I want to get access to EFT. So I'm going to go to groups. I'm actually not going to go there. I'm going to go into join now. Sorry, I'm going to click on the banner, the EFT join now. And easy as that, I'm going to request access. Vic being an administrator, he's going to get that access request on his end momentarily. So you can see after I clicked on request access, it says access request sent, and I'm going to patiently wait on his approval.
I'm thinking about it. I'm thinking about it. All right. Let's see.
We
Oh, we got
try to,
quite a few requests that just came in. So excellent.
okay,
Awesome,
cool.
guys. Awesome.
We try to get to these requests as as fast as possible. So hopefully within at least
And right.
few minutes we will accept your access.
You are good to go, sir.
All right, so I'm going to refresh. You also get an email as well if you have been accepted. I'm going to go to, sorry, it refreshes me back to members, but I'm going to go back to groups and I will see now EFT is available. I'm going to click into that group and I am a member. As a member of EFT now, I will be automatically subscribed to email notifications based on what Dan, Derek, Vic, myself do as far as updating the EFT program. So I'm going to get updates on if there's a recorded webinar on some new features, any instructions, anything that we've added to the EFT. Now I am subscribed as receiving email updates. I will also receive, aside from the email updates, I'll receive them in a notification format up in your notifications bar in the header. You'll see, you'll have a sticky forum here that's kind of going over the entire forum, or sorry, the entire EFT program. And then we've broken it down by what Vic just covered, all of the cool new features that we've been working on releasing in the 13.0 version of Verify. Reports, widgets, cube, show all events. Really importantly, database archiving. Really excited to launch this, and CCX audible alerts. So what we've kind of done is section these off into different features. And within these forums, you'll be able to leave feedback. You'll be able to see updates on those features, etc. So that's kind of how it works. That's Planet Verify. And that is also how you request access to join the EFT program. Again, once you join the EFT group, you will see updates in your activity feed. If I can show an example here. As a non-member of EFT, I will have not seen all of this great information regarding the EFT program. Dan's posted links to recordings of the more in-depth than what Vic covered here. He's posted links to recordings of longer, more in-depth versions of webinars on all of these 13.0 EFT releases. Also in Planet Verify, you can click on Planet Podcast. This is a podcast we release monthly. You can get Vic and Jeff Young kind of going over their kind of views on the UC world and other things as well. You can also view other members in Planet Verify. You can become followers of these members so you can receive updates. You also see who is a Verify employee as well. You can see Vic, Dan, Matt, etc. And then pretty much the most important piece is the activity feed as well. We can go over some other groups here, Vic. We have obviously the EFT. We've got webinars where we post all the recordings of all the webinars. Again, the podcast, we'll post all the recordings to the podcast. All product specific groups here as well. Success stories, block party. It's our digital event we host every year. So feel free to just kind of peruse all of the different great groups we have here, in addition to the 13.0 group in Planet Verify. So that's it, pretty straightforward. If you have any questions, feel free to ask them in the QA panel. I think that's at the bottom right of the WebEx. Vic, did we have any questions come in regarding the EFT process?
No, I think it's pretty straightforward. We had some people sign up already, so that's always great to see. And then some people fill out our poll, it looks like. So
Cool.
it looks like, yeah, it looks like we're good.
Yeah.
We did have another question come in. Dashboard, let's see, this is a question from Mark. The dashboard threshold option seen in the beginning, is that just for UCCX or dashboard? Are there any other threshold options? So yeah, the dashboard threshold that we had shown in the beginning is specifically around UCCX. And that's to be able to set some of those alerts. At the moment, we don't have any additional threshold alerting built into the system. We can do alerts based on 911 calls or call data from a CDR perspective, but those dashboards and those thresholds are specifically around the UCCX. All right. Let's see, and we'll go ahead and Phil, I'll go ahead and steal the ball back from you here. And if any other questions come in, please feel free to ask before we close out here. And let's go ahead and share my screen out here. If it's gonna let me. Now you may have to pass me the ball. Let's see, change role. Oh, let me steal. You know what? I can steal it back from you here.
Oh, sorry, Vic.
Oh, all good, all good. All right, excellent. So anybody that wants to take place, like Phil said, please sign up over at Planet Verify. Make sure you get in there. It's a great user community. We get a lot of good questions and a lot of good feedback from our customers here. So with that, again, make sure jump over to Planet Verify, our user community, take part in the community, answer some questions, ask some questions, take part in some of our polls. We'd love to hear from you guys. And without further ado, last but not least, the winner of our $50 Amazon gift card is Patrick Bull. Patrick, congratulations. Thank you, guys. Thank you for joining us today. We'll go ahead and make sure that your account manager reaches out to you to get you that $50 Amazon gift card. And if there are no other questions, please make sure you sign up and register for our upcoming workshop. That'll be Variphy 13.0 EFT. We're going to talk a little bit about some changes to Cube and NTP requirements that we used to have, and how to recognize a little bit of if your NTP is maybe not synced on your Cube environment. It could be resulting in some incorrect timeframes on your data. So please make sure you join us next week, May 18th, where Jim and myself will cover that and talk a little bit about Cube and EFT sync and why we want it synced. All right. With all that said, thank you guys very much for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Have a great rest of your week, all.